Hey guys, mahal everyone, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In this video, we're going to be covering part 5 of my series called Reworks, where we discuss the reworks for particular characters within the global version of Opera Omnia. Now for part 5, I'm going to do things a little bit differently compared to my previous Reworks video. So as we know in the global version of the game, we're going to be receiving the part 2 Summer Beach Bash event very soon. Upon the making of this video, it's literally about less than 2 days from now. With that summer event, we know that we're going to be receiving our second banner that's going to be featuring a repeat of specific EX weapons, and with those EX weapons, we will likely be seeing a rework or maybe even multiple reworks for characters. Now, we've been thinking about which of these characters are going to be getting reworks, because as we saw with Beach Bash Part 1, Kain got his rework, and Kain, in the JP version of the game, actually got his rework a lot later than he did on the global version of the game. When he got his rework on the JP version of the game, they were already into the level 70 era, so Kain was sadly a little underpowered even with his rework. So it's a good thing that he got it early on the global version of the game. So with part 2, there's 3 particular characters that have been circulating around with the community about which character is going to be getting their reworks early. Essentially, it's going to be early. So the 3 things in common with these characters that I'm going to be mentioning is all of them get their reworks already in the level 70 era, and they do not get a level 70 alongside that. They only get their reworks. So those 3 characters are Squall, Lightning, and TIDUS'S. Okay, so keep that in mind. These are the 3 speculated characters to either be getting their rework on this next upcoming Summer Beach Bash 2. So what we're going to do with this video is we're going to take a look at what these reworks gave them, and then afterwards, at the end, I'm going to give you guys my personal thoughts on who I feel like should be getting it early. That way it's going to benefit that character better, and kind of also giving you guys where exactly these characters got their reworks on the JP timeline, so you guys kind of correlate about how this can influence the character's usage if they get their rework early in global. So the first character we're going to go over is going to be Squall, and he did get his rework on JP around late October, and around that time, Warrior of Light and Shantoto and Laguna and Cater and Saz, they all also got their level 70 awakening, so that was the start of the level 70 era. So Squall got his rework without his level 70 late October of last year in JP, but if he gets his rework early, this is what it gives him on global. So we're going to first take a look at his level 58 passive, because that's the first thing that changes with his rework. It used to be called Buff High Speed, but now with the rework, it's going to be called Buff Boost and High Speed Up. Before, it would just give him a large speed increase when buffed, and then now it's going to be giving him a 20% max Brave Up plus a large speed increase when he is buffed. So definitely a little bit of an improvement there. I do like the max Brave increase that he gets alongside the speed increase. The next thing that he's going to be getting is actually a new framed buff called Solitary Lion. Now what Solitary Lion does is, first of all, it replaces the generic initial Brave Up buff that he gets. So that's actually very significant, because as you can see right here, he acquires this unique buff by using Solid Barrel or Solid Barrel Plus. What this does is it gives him a 40% initial Brave Up, a 20% attack up, and a 20% max Brave Up. Significantly better from just the generic initial Brave Up buff. It also changes Squall's abilities to their plus version, so now it completely removes that whole needing to have a specific amount of Brave, compared to his initial Brave in order to access the plus version of his ability. So very, very good. It changes his Brave and HP attacks to their plus versions. His Brave Attack Plus is a 3-hit melee single target Brave Attack plus a 1-hit AoE melee Brave Attack with a 170% Brave damage potency. So it's pretty much like a mini version of his Solid Barrel, which is what his Brave Attack Plus is. His HP Attack Plus under Solitary Lion is going to be a 1-hit single target Brave plus a single target HP attack. However, it does deal 50% splash damage to other targets with an 80% Brave damage potency. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the abilities that he'll get if he gets his rework early. His Solid Barrel Extend will first of all be getting 2 uses for this ability, an additional 2 uses. When you use Solid Barrel, the overall Brave damage potency is now at 310%, and that last Brave hit is now AoE. It will grant him that Solitary Lion framed buff for 4 turns, and he will be dealing HP damage if his Brave is 80% or greater of max Brave. If you use Solid Barrel Plus, the overall Brave damage potency is now going to be at 450%, with the last Brave hit being AoE. It's going to grant him the Solitary Lion framed buff for 5 turns this time, and this time he deals HP damage after the Brave hits. He doesn't have any type of conditional requirements for that HP damage. Now let's go ahead and take a look at his level 60 ability, which is Renzo Kukin. So with the rework, 1 additional usage. When you're using Renzokuken, it increases the overall Brave damage to 220%, and it also deals that 50% HP splash damage to other targets. So pretty much now, the base version of his Renzokuken is what Renzokuken Plus used to be before the rework. And then Renzokuken Plus, check this out, 500% Brave damage potency, which is insane. That's stronger than a significant amount of even EX abilities out there. And now he just deals straight up 100% AoE HP damage to all targets. So with SQUALL'S rework, if we get this early, it's definitely going to put him ahead of the game as far as where we're currently at right now in the global version of the game, because that way we don't have to wait until the start of the level 70 era to even see this. We get to have it early. SQUALL gets a little bit more of a spotlight, and also what this does is it helps out newer players or players that are just starting out, because SQUALL is he was one of the first Lost Chapter characters, so he's essentially not very difficult to unlock. So very, very good rework, and if he gets it early, great for him. Now the next character we're going to talk about who might be getting a rework with this upcoming summer event is going to be Lightning. So we're going to start off by taking a look at her passive. So at level 54, her passive goes from buff boost to buff attack boost. Instead of just giving her 20% max brave increase when buffed, it is now a 40% attack and max brave increase when buffed. So that is very significant, because not only does she increase the max brave she's getting now, but she's also giving herself a 40% attack when buffed. Something I did forget to mention is that Lightning's rework originally came out on JP late November. So you want to keep that in mind, and that was already well into the level 70 era. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at her framed buffs. So they did change up her framed buffs with this rework. The first one being Ravager framed buff. So these are the changes for Ravager. It is now stackable up to 2 stacks at max. Ravager will be granting her a 40% max brave increase. However, this value will remain the same regardless of where the stack is at. Either Ravager 1 or 2 will be changing her Brave and HP attack to their plus versions. Brave Attack Plus is a 2-hit melee single target Brave attack with a 160% Brave damage potency. The HP Attack Plus will be healing her own Brave first by 50% of her attack before she does a 1-hit melee single target Brave plus single target HP attack with a 50% Brave damage potency. Both her Brave and HP Attack Plus versions will be increasing Ravager's stack by 1. When she's at Ravager 2, it's going to be changing her Flourish of Steel to its plus version that grants it a 300% Brave damage potency, and now Brave can overflow with that ability up to 120%. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the changes that she gets to her Commander stance in her rework. So her Commando framed buff, or her stance, is now going to be stackable up to 2 stacks, just like Ravager. Commando will be granting her a 30% attack increase and a 40% max Brave increase. This is either for 1 or 2 stacks. Commando 1 and 2 will be changing Brave and HP attack to their plus versions. Brave Attack Plus under Commando is a 2-hit melee single target Brave attack with an 80% Brave damage potency. And then HP Attack Plus under Commando will be healing her own Brave by 70% of her attack before performing a 1-hit melee single target Brave plus single target HP attack under a 50% Brave damage potency. Both the plus versions of her Brave and HP attack will be increasing Commando stacks by 1. And then Commando 2 changes her Spark Strike command to its plus version, which is a 420% Brave damage potency ability now. It can also overflow up to 120% of max Brave, and it'll also be healing her own Brave based on 30% of the HP damage that she deals with Spark Strike Plus. Now that we know these changes to her frame buffs, let's go ahead and take a look at her actual abilities. So Spark Strike Extend under her rework will be getting an additional 2 uses. It's going to be granting her that stack of Ravager framed buff. Any buffs gained from Spark Strike are extended to a total of 6 turns. This ability will now be dealing HP damage. It's going to be increasing Spark Strike's Brave damage potency, the base version, to 300. Brave can overflow for the base version up to 110% of max Brave, and it will also be healing her own Brave by 10% of the damage she deals with the base version of Spark Strike. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Flourish of Steel with the rework. Flourish of Steel Extend. Now it's going to give her 2 uses, grants her 1 stack of Commando framed buff. Any buffs gained from Flourish of Steel previously will be extended to a total of 6 turns. It increases the base version of this ability's Brave damage potency to 300%, and the base version can now overflow up to 120% of max Brave. So one of the things that I really like about Lightning's rework is it makes her less dependent on the EX. She's obviously still significantly better if she has that EX weapon equipped, especially with her current version right now in global, because without her EX weapon, unfortunately, lightning is not a very consistent damage dealing unit. I mean, she's a turn stealer. She has those things where, like, you know, if she breaks a target, she can essentially get another turn, things like that, but she's just not consistent unless you have that EX weapon currently right now in the global version of the game. So if they give her this rework early with the release of Summer Part 2, it's definitely going to be a blessing for her, because it's going to be significantly earlier for her. It's going to be significantly earlier compared to the JP version of the game when she got this. And to top it off, she won't really necessarily need to rely on her EX weapon, but if you have it, she becomes even much better. Now, the last character we're going to talk about for this potential early rework that we might be seeing is going to be TIDUS. So TIDUS'S rework originally in Japan came out around mid-December. Around this time, they were already getting like Noctis's level 70, so you could see why if TIDUS gets this early, it's going to definitely be better for him in the global version of the game. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at which passives they improve first with this rework. So his 54 passive originally was buff speed. With the rework, it becomes buff boost speed. It is a small speed up when buffed originally, but then with the rework, it's a 20% max brave and small speed increase when buffed. At 58, it is debuff, attack, and boost. So they don't change the name for that, but what it was before is that TIDUS gets a 40% attack and max brave increase while an enemy is debuffed. However, with the rework, that attack percentage is increased to 60%, with the max brave staying at 40%, but still, additional attack makes him deal more damage. With the rework, he will also be getting a new framed buff called Winning Spirit. And what Winning Spirit is you acquire it after using Quick Hit. The plus version of his quick hit, however, will not grant this. This buff lasts for 3 turns. It is an 80% max brave increase and a 10% brave damage increase per debuff on the target. Those are the statistics that he gets increased with this framed buff. It will change his quick hit to Quick Hit Plus, and Quick Hit Plus has no action delay. It doesn't increase the turn count, however, it will still decrease friend and summon turn cost, and it will also change slash or slash combo to their plus variants, increasing the overall brave damage potency for both of those abilities to 360%, and they can overflow up to 150% max brave. I really like the no action delay and the doesn't increase a turn count. One of my Discord members, who goes by the name of Eons, was showing it off on stream when I was streaming JP, and pretty much you could just keep building up his brave with quick hit and then going into his HP attack plus, and because it doesn't take any turns and there's no action delay, he essentially becomes like this brave shaving machine gun. So really cool for this Winning Spirit framed buff that he gets with his rework. Now, his level 55 passive, which is Quick Hit Extend with the rework, is going to be giving him 4 additional skill uses on this ability. It's going to increase the overall brave damage potency for both the base and plus variants by 250%, and it's going to grant him that Winning Spirit frame buff that we just talked about to himself for 3 turns. And then finally, his level 60 passive, or his ability on the rework, is going to be increasing both variants to 4 hits. So now either slash or slash combo will be dealing 4 brave hits. The brave damage potency for slash is going to be increased to 320%. Brave can overflow up to 120% of max brave. Keep in mind, that's for the base versions. And then it changes his brave attack to brave attack plus for 6 turns, which is a 2-hit melee single target brave attack with a 160% brave damage potency. So TIDUS, especially with that framed buff, is definitely going to be significantly better, as we can see here, if he gets this rework early. And we already have his EX weapon available, and his EX weapon is fast charging. So he is a fast damage dealing unit, and with this rework, especially, he'll be given overflow. It's going to make him a lot better. So now that we know what these 3 reworks do for these characters, which character do I think will benefit most by getting this early? Well, let's first review when they got their reworks on the JP version of the game. So Squall got his late October, and at that same time, or a few days after, the level 70 era started. Okay, so it was the beginning of the level 70 era. So Squall still had a little bit of time to shine, even though he wasn't level 70 yet, but he did get a really powerful rework. And then afterwards, Lightning's came out. Hers came out late November. We were already well into the level 70 era by then on JP. Okay, and as we can see right now in Global, if she doesn't have her EX weapon, she's essentially just a bench warmer, unfortunately. You know, I hate to say it, but she is, because she really does need that EX weapon currently right now. And then we have TIDUS, who I've taken to a few harder EX stages. I don't know if he's actually going to really be performing very well with his current state in the Cosmos era. He might be able to, because of the fact that he does have this pretty decent debuffs, and then he also has a really fast charging EX ability if you have his EX weapon. So my thoughts are, I would like to see Lightning to get her rework early amongst these three characters, because at least we know Squall gets his the earliest out of these three, and even though it's at the start of the level 70 era, he'll still have his uses because his rework is actually quite powerful. But for Lightning, she really needs it, because you really want that EX weapon on her without this rework. Tidus would be my number 2 to get his rework early, so then that way we can see more Tidus's being used, and plus the overflow will really help him out, as well as the no turn count and the no action delay on his quick hit plus. So essentially you could build up his Brave without having to worry about increasing the turn count and constantly getting turns, and then deal damage, so it makes him a little bit more effective. Now, in a perfect miraculous world, and we never know, this could happen, maybe all 3 of these characters could get their rework early, and if Square does that, that would be absolutely amazing, because that way it'll give players a chance to essentially catch up if they missed out, let's say, on like weapons for like Renoa, or they missed out on weapons for like Sephiroth, you know, or characters like if you missed out on Golbez, you know, it'll give you some pretty nice damage dealing units if they get their reworks early to be able to catch up with some of the harder content that we'll be seeing upcoming soon on the global version of the game. Alright guys, well, that is going to be it for part 5 for Reworks. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. It was a little bit different, but again, you know, I'm excited to see which of these characters, if not all 3, might be getting their rework early with the summer part 2 release within the global version of the game. This is 40 the Broadway Saiyan. Stay tuned for my next video, and mahal everyone.